20 years ago, my Aunt Rebecca died in her home. I was 8 at the time. The official story was simple. She tripped and fell down the stairs while cleaning. It was winter, icy, and she was alone. No witnesses. A tragic accident. My family didn't talk much about her afterward. I remember the funeral vaguely, snow falling on black coats, my father's silence, my grandmother sobbing uncontrollably into a tissue. After Rebecca died, her house remained mostly untouched. It sat quietly at the edge of town, inherited by my father but never sold. He kept it locked, occasionally visiting to mow the lawn or check the pipes. I didn't think about it much growing up. But everything changed when my father passed away last year. As his only child, I inherited everything, including the house. I didn't go there immediately. Something about it made me uneasy. It wasn't just grief, it was the feeling that something inside that house was waiting. Eventually, I drove out there. The house smelled old, like dust and forgotten years. Most of the furniture was covered in sheets. I walked through the living room, the kitchen, the hallway, absorbing the frozen life left behind. Her shoes still by the front door. A half-full bookshelf. A broken clock on the wall that had stopped at 3:47. Then I saw the staircase. It was steep. Wooden. Cold. There was a dark stain on the 5th step, worn and nearly invisible, but once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. That night, I stayed in a motel nearby. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about her. Something didn't feel right. The next morning, I returned to finish sorting through things. While cleaning out her bedroom closet, I noticed the floorboards under a pile of boxes felt uneven. I moved everything aside. The wood had a faint gap, like it had been lifted before. I pried it up and found a small, wrapped parcel beneath. It was a diary. Leather-bound. Faded. The initials R.A. on the front. The first few pages were mundane, grocery lists, work notes, recipes. But as I flipped further, the entries grew darker. She wrote about strange noises in the house at night. Footsteps that didn't match her own. Doors she remembered locking being left ajar. Cold drafts in rooms with no windows. Then there were the names. She mentioned a man, Daniel. Not her boyfriend, not a friend from work. Just Daniel. I saw Daniel again last night, she wrote. He was at the foot of the stairs, looking up. I couldn't move. He just stared. At first I thought she might have been hallucinating. Maybe mental illness? But the entries were lucid. Coherent. Another passage chilled me. I tried telling Mom about Daniel. She said I was just tired. But I know what I saw. I'm not crazy. The air around him changes. It hums. I feel it in my teeth. The final entry was dated the day before her death. I think he wants me to fall. I closed the diary and sat still for a long time. After a few minutes, I went back to the staircase. I examined the steps more closely. The banister was loose. Deliberately so. It had been unscrewed slightly, just enough that a firm grip would snap it free. I checked the base and found worn grooves in the wood. Signs of tampering. Someone had set her up. But who? I spent the next week researching everything I could. No sign of a Daniel in her life. No coworkers by that name. No boyfriends. No neighbors. Then I found a newspaper clipping from 1973. A man named Daniel Royce had owned the property before her. He died after falling down the same staircase. His death was ruled an accident. I dug further. His wife died 2 years earlier. Same staircase. Same verdict. That house had seen 3 deaths. All the same way. All ruled accidents. I couldn't believe it. There was no record of exorcisms or ghost hunters. No haunted rumors. Just silence. The next morning, I brought in a structural inspector. He noted something strange. The steps weren't aligned properly. One in particular, step 5, was off-center, slightly tilted. Almost like it had been shifted intentionally. He said it would be easy to trip there. But only if you didn't know about it. I returned that night, holding the diary in one hand and a flashlight in the other. I stood at the top of the stairs and whispered, "I know what you did." The air felt colder. Not breezy, just wrong. That's like walking into static. I stayed only a few minutes longer. I locked the diary away. I had the staircase torn out the following week. I rebuilt it entirely. And since then, silence. No noises. No footsteps. Nothing. I don't know if Daniel was a ghost, or something darker, or simply a metaphor for something broken in my aunt's mind. But what I do know is this. She didn't fall. She was pushed. And I was the first person in 20 years to listen.